Let's just say actor Ezra Miller has gotten himself in some trouble, and he's even expected to plead guilty to a lesser charge on trespassing, specifically the Vermont burglary case. The Flash star is expected to enter a guilty plea in Vermont for a lesser charge of trespassing. In fact, the actor was accused of stealing several bottles of alcohol from a person's house. This all happened as part of an agreement to drop the charges of burglary. Who knew a Hollywood star could do all of this? Shockingly, Miller was alleged to have stolen the bottles from a house in Stamford just before 5 in the evening back in May 2022. What's surprising is that the police actually reported this back in August. The actor was later charged with 2 charges of burglary in an unoccupied dwelling, unlawful trespassing, and even petty larceny. It's safe to say we're all perplexed by this news. Vermont Superior Court's clerk confirmed that the victims had agreed to drop the charges against Miller. In fact, the D.C. star was expected to enter a guilty plea in Bennington County Superior Criminal Court, which begs the question, what did the court say? Well, the court document showed that the prosecutors actually proposed that Miller would face almost 90 days in a suspended sentence. Along with this, there was also a $500 fine and a year's probation. And according to some of the charging documents, the maximum sentence for Ezra's burglary charge would have been a whopping 25 years. All of that is totally shocking, right? The actor is best known for their role in the DC Comics film franchise as The Flash and has been embroiled in a series of criminal cases over the past couple of years. Last year in Hilo, Hawaii, they pleaded not to contest a count of disorderly conduct and even paid a hefty $500 fine. This was after the 30-year-old actor yelled obscenities at patrons as they sang karaoke and grabbed a microphone from a 23-year-old woman. Similarly, in another case in Pehoa, the Fantastic Beasts star was alleged to have thrown a chair at a woman at a private get-together, and the outcome of that incident wasn't immediately clear, but something had completely changed for Miller. Here's how it impacted the star's life. In June, the 26-year-old Massachusetts woman was actually granted a temporary order of protection against Miller. It was requested on behalf of the woman's 12-year-old child and was granted after the judge found the kid faced some substantial likelihood of immediate danger of harassment. There was a great deal of social media uproar, but despite this online campaign to remove Miller from the DC Comics franchise, the Flash film is expected to be released in June 2023. And that's not all. Issa Rae, who's a famous producer, writer, and actor, criticized the industry for the negative reaction against Ezra Miller. Rae said that this was a clear example of the lengths that Hollywood is willing to go to just to protect offenders and to save itself. Which leads us to Ezra Miller's movie. It seems like someone's hiding something about it, and it's Warner Brothers and DC who aren't being completely After Henry Cavill's departure as Superman, DC fans were super shocked to read the Variety report. It suggested that Ezra Miller could continue in James Gunn's DCU as Barry Allen after the Flash movie. In fact, Miller was in the headlines for all the wrong reasons in 2022 after the actor's erratic behavior threatened to embroil the studio in more chaos than what it needed at this crucial point in its history. But could all of these rumors actually be true? Are Warner Brothers Discovery truly ready to stick with Miller as the Flash in the DCU despite the controversy? Let's see if they're going to let this go. Not so fast, Barry. Of course, Variety's report is actually based on the publication's sources. It clearly stated that some executives were amenable to continuing with the actor as the world-saving speedster after the Flash. But this doesn't necessarily mean that it's guaranteed. There might actually be a few people who like Miller within the offices of Warner Brothers Discovery, but it's still all up to Peter Safran and James Gunn to decide if the DCEU Flash will still be the Scarlet Speedster of the DCU. They might even decide to skip Alan altogether and focus solely on Wally West as an example. Regardless of if the news is actually true or not, the studio really needs to tighten up and do something about all the constant leaks to the media.
We're seeing eye to eye. You and I, I'm in this. I'm in this to win this with you, William.
They need to take control of the narrative before the internet paints its own conclusions. In fact, with whatever that's going on right now, I can't help but ask, what are the chances that Ezra Miller continues as DC's Flash after the movie? Realistically, chances are 0 to none. Miller's version of the Flash isn't as much revered as Cavill's Superman, Ben Affleck's Batman, or Gal Gadot's Wonder Woman. Coupled with the fact that the actor is pretty much a magnet for controversy, most fans wouldn't bat an eyelid if they were replaced in the DCEU. In fact, Miller's Flash is the one character most people would bet on being recast. But why would there be news reports floating around suggesting Miller's time as the DC superhero might not be done? The answer is pretty simple: marketing. Which brings us to the cold, hard facts. It's difficult for anyone to get excited about Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom or the Flash movie since they're essentially cul-de-sacs in the same shared universe. While they might turn out to be great films in their own right, it's more than clear that Gunn's DCU will be a full-blown reboot, or soft reboot at the very least. So, how does one convince fans to head out in sheer numbers to watch these films? People might be thinking that it's actually by deceiving them, but in reality, it's actually through super clever marketing. If fans actually believe that Miller's Flash will play a part in the future of the DCU, they'll be more inclined to check out the movie. Right now, Warner Brothers Discovery cannot just come out and say, "Hey, Ezra's done as the Flash and this film will mean nothing in the grand scheme of things." That would be absurd. But you must come out and watch it so more people can argue about the restoration of the Snyderverse afterwards. Instead, the studio executives will be leaking reports to keep people thinking it might happen. Which leads us to our final question: how will DC actually handle this? This is all happening while hoping that the rumors will spread as gospel and that people will head out to the theater to watch the film. From a business point of view, Warner Brothers Discovery needs to recoup some of the actual cost of the Flash movie. According to Deadline, the film cost was about $200 million to make. That's a lot of cheese on the plate. So Warner Brothers Discovery needs to do everything they possibly can to make as much money here to cover the production costs. Somewhere, analysts have already started chewing their nails at the fear that this may flop, especially if everyone knows it will lead to nothing significant for the future of the DCU, just like the Black Adam post-credits scene. So, with all that in mind, just don't buy into the hype that Miller's Flash is in this for the long run. In all possible likelihood, the actor will soon join the likes of Dwayne Johnson and Cavill on the sidelines, wondering what could have been. So, there you have it. Here's what Ezra Miller's future looks like in the DC.